I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. Because this is an organizational meeting of the board, I will preside temporarily until the board chair is elected. As you are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, Republic, for which is one nation, liberty, justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Normally, at this point, we would have our student representatives read our mission statement, vision, and beliefs, but they are not here, so we're going to bypass that piece. First up, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
You want to try changing seats? I don't think they're coming, so that might, until we fix it. Oh, good? All right. Any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Osborne?
Okay. Ms. Bond? Yes. Ms. Franklin? Yes. Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
All right. Our next order of business is the election of a board chair. Anyone on the board may nominate another board member. A nomination does not require a second. Once nominations are complete, we will vote on each nominee in the order of their nomination. Do I have a nomination for chair of the Montgomery County School Board?
I'd like to nominate Linwood Hudson.
Okay. We have a nomination for Linwood Hudson as chair. Do we have any other nominations? Seeing no one, nominations are closed. We will now vote on the nominee.
Are we going to have any discussion?
Is there any discussion regarding this nomination?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to say something. Linwood, I appreciate your willingness to communicate. You keep your composure during heated discussions. I appreciate that. You're a problem solver. You try to fix things throughout the 2 years you've been on the board. You try to work with others, and I really appreciate that as well. I will support anyone that's elected as chair because that's kind of who I am. And I know you'll do a fine job if you're elected, especially since somebody else was nominated. But I will be voting no. And I've had a conversation with each one of you as to why. And Linwood, you and I have had some Mexican, and we've had good conversation as to why. But, you know, I feel strongly that we need representation from members of all parts of the county. And we haven't seen that in the last number of years. And in fact, only twice since I've been on the board for a long time. And I think our county deserves that. So, you know, I hope one day maybe we can propose some kind of rotation system so that will kind of help in that matter, but that's not here or now. But I did want to explain why I would be voting no, and even though I have shared with each board member why. And, you know, and I have done that before in the years past because I do believe we need representation throughout the county. So, thanks.
I have something.
Sure.
So Linwood, thank you for the conversations pre-election, during the election, and then just a little while ago. We've had some good conversations about leadership. It's been a pleasure working with you as a board member over the last 2 years. You've done a phenomenal job. I will let you know that if you are selected chair, you know I will support you 100%. And I don't think that you can't handle the chair position. Sometimes I think people just aren't quite ready yet. We have had a board member with substantial experience and who is at the point now that is ready to take a leadership position. And I just feel like that person should be given that opportunity. Being on this board almost 8 years, I have seen where it has made a difference in a chair having experience and not having experience. And basically, you're running the meeting. Again, the chair has no more authority as far as a vote or can do no more than a single board member can. So just want to make that clear. But I just want to let you know, you and I have discussed. I think you will do a fine job if you're elected, but at the present time, I feel like when we have other more substantially experienced people that were interested in the chair, that my vote is going to have to be no, but I will support you if you are elected by the majority. So thanks.
Is there any other discussion on this nomination?
I'd like to just say something very briefly. I am excited to cast my vote for Linwood as chair. I've witnessed a number of meetings since you've been on the school board where I've seen you act respectfully toward your colleagues and try to find compromise on positions where there was division among board members, and I think you'll make an excellent chair.
Okay. Any other discussion? Ms. Osborne, can we have a roll call vote?
Okay, Ms. Bond? No. Ms. Franklin? Yes. Mr. Guidry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
No.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed.
The motion carries. Mr. Lewin Hudson is elected chair of the Montgomery County School Board for the 2024 school year. Congratulations. Okay, wow, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Just a couple of brief comments here, and then we'll get going back in the meeting. I appreciate everybody's votes and everybody's comments during the vote there. Definitely take all that to heart. I'm a big VT football fan, so as I was watching the bowl game over the holidays, I was really proud of how the progress that team has made over the past couple of years, and I couldn't help but think about our board and the progress that we've made over the past couple of years since I've been on the board. We've not unlike the Hokies, we kind of went through some ups and downs and had some tough times. We made a change in our leadership as well, obviously for different circumstances. But I really feel like, just like the Hokies, we found the right person to lead our division. And I'm super excited to continue to work with Dr. Bragan. He's helped us make some hard decisions, make changes in how we operate. And honestly, the biggest change that has happened has been because of us, how our board functions with trust and respect. Really talking to each other, working together, communicating, being respectful for each other. It's a different board now, obviously. We've got some new members here, but you got that same vision. Kind of like the Hokies, we got some new faces, some new talents, some new ideas and energy to bring to the board. We've got veterans here who know how to get things done and work together and work in the community. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to serve as chair of this board moving forward. So thank you so much, and excited to see what we can do together. All right. So now we'll continue with our meeting here. We'll continue with the reorganization of the school board. We will elect a vice chair. As with the election of the board chair,
Anyone on the board may nominate another board member. A nomination does not require a second. Once nominations are complete, we will vote on each nominee in the order of their nomination. Do I have a nomination for the vice chair of the Montgomery County School Board?
I'd like to make a nomination to promote county unity after such a divisive campaign season. I'd like to nominate Jamie Bond. Sorry, I didn't hear your microphone.
We have a
Second.
nomination for Jamie Bond for vice chair. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Seeing no one else, nominations are closed. Do we have a discussion?
I'm going to say something. I'm super excited to see Jamie step up to a leadership role. I think Jamie's done a phenomenal job in her 20-plus years on the board. She certainly was a lifesaver for me when I started because I knew nothing, and she and Ms. Franklin both, and Gun and Karan and several others were so good to me that have been on the board. But I'm glad she's ready to step up into this role, and she has the time to do that now. So I'm looking forward to her vice chairing the board, and I think she'll do a phenomenal job. So thank you all for nominating her, Ed, and I think she'll do great. So thanks.
Yeah, and as with Ed, I appreciate the cross-county leadership roles from each of the vice chair and the chair. And I appreciate you stepping up to fill that role for the Christiansburg area. Auburn and Eastmont, sorry about that.
I'd like to just add one thing. I want to thank you, Jamie, for reaching out to me before tonight to have a conversation about your initial vote, but also for running for vice chair. And I'm happy to see the board come together in the first meeting without a contentious fight over leadership, and that we're starting in a spirit of unity. So I appreciate that conversation very much because I know it's important to you and to other board members.
Any other comments? I'd like to just add, I'm definitely looking forward to working with you, Jamie, on leadership. I think you and I get along great. We both love the same Mexican place, which is awesome. And yeah, I think we got a lot in common. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I appreciate your comments earlier, and Dana's as well. I'll take all that to heart. But yeah, again, looking forward to working with you. And I do think that having a representation on leadership of all parts of the county is important, even if it's not the exact orders that perhaps, but
We'll
great.
move past that.
There you go. Okay. We'll now vote on the nominees. Our first nominee was Jamie Bond.
Okay.
Ms. Osborne, can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? Yes. Mr. Guidry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
The motion carries, and Jamie Bond is elected Vice Chair of the Montgomery County School Board for 2024. Okay, great.
Do I need to move? Somebody can have my broke mic then. Do I go there or do I go? Ed? Well, I mean, it doesn't matter, either one. You wanna just switch over here, Ed, so that way she don't have to move all the way over here? Like. Won't be too far for you, though.
Is this microphone working now?
No, but here, you gotta hold it, yes. You gotta hold it. All kinds of good stuff. All kinds of little toys.
The first meeting's always the smoothest as we get all the seats right and the placard set up.
I don't have as many goodies.
Jamie, did you have any comments you want to add?
No, we're good.
Okay, all right, let's go. All right, next up is the appointment of the clerk. Do I have a motion to appoint Dr. Bernard F. Bragan Jr. as the clerk of the board?
So moved.
Okay. The superintendent can't be the clerk. He can be the deputy, but not the clerk. And since that position is still vacant, how can we appoint someone at this point?
I thought it was Tosh.
No, we haven't hired a clerk yet.
We were going to talk about that in closed session, the process for that, but if that's fine, if you want to bypass on that, put that to be determined, then we'll have a deputy assistant or deputy or assistant clerk until that time.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. All right, great. Then we'll skip to the appointment of deputy clerk for the Montgomery County School Board. Do I have a motion to appoint Tosh Osborne as deputy clerk for the Montgomery County School Board?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a second is made. Any discussion? I'd just like to add that Tosh has done an outstanding job for us in the time that she's been with us, and I'm definitely happy to vote yes for this.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
The motion carries. Tosh Osborne is now appointed a deputy clerk for the Montgomery County School Board for 2024. Okay, next up is the adoption of the resolution affirming officers of the County School Board of Montgomery County. I need a motion to adopt a resolution affirming our officers as Linwood Hudson for board chair, Jamie Bond for vice chair, and Tosh Osborne as deputy clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Second is made. Any discussion? I guess, can we adopt this resolution in the absence of a clerk?
Well, I was taking it that you just omitted that because of the previous conversation.
Okay. Maybe we'll have a new resolution after we resolve that. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. I'm hearing none. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Okay. Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, next up, we have our board committee appointments. Historically, the board chair has made appointments or sought volunteers for other committees and boards. This year's committee appointments include 2 members for liaison to the Board of Supervisors, 1 VSBA voting delegate, 1 VSBA alternate, 1 liaison to the Southwest Virginia Governor's School, up to 2 liaisons for the Educational Foundation, 1 liaison to the town of Blacksburg, and 1 liaison to the town of Christiansburg. Do I have any volunteers or nominations for any of these appointments?
Well, I would like to stay on the Christiansburg committee, even though I don't always get to go to the meetings. I am in town and I do hear and I do listen out and I do, check with the officials. frequently and find out, what's happening, what's going on. So I kind of like that committee, if that's okay with the board.
And last year, I think the both of you kind of shared that.
Yeah, I think it was if somebody couldn't do it, the other one, or one of us would decide if we both win, or one of us could go, or something of that
Okay.
nature to.
Make a note. So we have Jamie Bond as the Town of Christiansburg liaison, as the one volunteer for that one.
I'd like to volunteer for Town of Blacksburg liaison.
I'd like to volunteer for the Educational Foundation.
And I'd like to volunteer as second for the Educational Foundation.
Okay. Is the Board of Supervisors liaison? I assume that's naturally the chair and vice chair. So that would be me and Jamie. Okay. So where we are, we need the VSBA voting delegate. Last year that was Ms. Parton.
Thankfully, Mr. Chewbacca was able to step in last minute because I was deathly sick and wasn't able to get to the conference for the first time in almost 8 years. But if the board is okay with it, I would still like I could still do that if the board agreed and was okay with it.
Any other volunteers or nominations for VSBA? We also need an alternate for that.
I'll volunteer for alternate.
Okay. Dina and Derek. So the last one, if I haven't lost track here, is the Southwest Virginia Governor's School. I've done that the past couple of years. I'm happy to do that again unless anybody else feels strongly. Okay.
Can I ask a question? I would also like to be the liaison to the town of Blacksburg, just like we've had two in the past for Christiansburg. If the board is amenable to that, I'd like to serve alongside Laura and all, if that's possible.
Well, just to make a comment, I think that's a great idea because as many meetings as we have, all of us, you have a limit to how many meetings you can go to, and stay at home and tend to your family and things. So I think it's always good to have two people to do things like that. It's never too many. So, because you just can't, everybody needs a little downtime. So I believe that, it takes a couple of us to do the job.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna read these out real quick just to make sure I have everybody right. So based on the volunteers that we have so far, we have for the Board of Supervisors liaisons, that's myself and Jamie Bond. For the VSBA voting delegate, that's Dana Parton. For the VSBA alternative, that was Derek Roundtree. For the Southwest Virginia Governor's School, that's myself. For the Montgomery County Educational Foundation, that is both Laura Purcell and Derek Roundtree. For the Town of Christiansburg liaison, that's Jamie Bond. And for the Town of Blacksburg liaison, that's both Laura Purcell and Ed Guitry. Okay, great, perfect. I was going to ask that. Okay. Okay, so just so everybody heard that. So Dana and Jamie will share the Town of Christiansburg liaisonship again this year like last year. Okay? So do I have a motion to approve these committee assignments?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, great. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Okay. Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. We have all of our committee assignments. That's outstanding. Our next up is the adoption of the resolution appointing the agent and deputy agent for signing claims. I need a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the superintendent, and in his absence, the deputy superintendent of operations, to serve as agent and deputy agent for signing claims.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Okay, great. Hearing none. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Okay. Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitchery?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Next up, we have the appointment of superintendent designees. Do I have a motion to appoint the deputy superintendent for operations as the primary superintendent designee, and in their absence, the assistant superintendent?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. All right, next up, we have the schedule of meeting dates, times, and locations. The next item is to set the meeting dates, times, and locations for the year. The meeting calendar is provided in board docs. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review that. Do I have a motion to approve the 2024 meeting calendar as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any discussion?
Sorry. Tosh, I had one question. And it probably has to do with a holiday or something maybe, but I noticed April we've got 2 back-to-back. Can you explain why we're having 2 back-to-back?
I could explain that, Tosh.
Is that the way the weeks fall or something?
We're off for the weekend for the spring break, the 1st, and we have a teacher's work day on the 2nd. So
Okay.
that was
So
the
it's
that
because
was
of
the
spring
reason why.
break?
Yeah,
Okay,
Easter is
okay.
the Sunday before, I think, March 30th.
Okay. I figured that might be what it was, but I just wanted to ask. So thank you.
Actually, March 31st, I'm sorry.
Guess, was there any consideration to maybe pushing both of those meetings back instead of having them back-to-back?
We could do that. You could push the 16th to the 23rd if you wanted to do that, but then you wind up getting close to the next one, too.
We got 5
Right.
Tuesdays in April, so that would kind of spread it out a little bit, but I don't feel strongly about it. I don't know if any. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can keep it as it is if everybody's okay with that. Okay,
So,
great. Any other discussion?
Wait, yeah, there's only 1 meeting in August and 1 in November. 1 in July. Well, never mind, forget about July. But August and November. Why? 1 meeting?
I could answer that. Typically, we didn't have a meeting in July, and we had 2 in August. So sometimes things go on that we'd rather get appointments and all that done, and whatever other issues we had to present to the board. So we thought if we did one towards the end of July, and then we did one as we got closer to the start of school in August, that would make sense. November typically is around that election day and all that, but we could do 2 in November, and then you have the Thanksgiving holiday. Sometimes that messes it up, but we could add another one in November.
Usually that one in November runs around the conference week because it's the week before Thanksgiving. And that week usually is also Thanksgiving. So like the 3rd week is the conference, and usually the 4th week is Thanksgiving. It's not in front of me, but that's usually how it falls.
I'm also going to be honest with you, that first week in August is usually the Bragan family vacation in Lake George, New York. So I won't be here for that first week in August. So when we looked at it strategically, we thought if we had one in the last week of July, it'd be close enough to that first week in August, but also give us an opportunity to approve all the bills list and all that stuff in July as well.
I appreciate that explanation. That makes sense to me. Any other discussion? Questions? Okay, great. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitchery?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, next we're up to the adoption of the hiring practices Resolution. Do I have a motion to adopt the hiring practices resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So was this resolution, it's been passed in previous years, correct?
Yes.
So I'm wondering, we already have policies that cover some of these areas, and I'm wondering why, if the board has adopted it multiple years, that it hasn't been integrated into the board's policies. Can someone explain to that? Because usually a resolution is a long motion, and once it's passed. And there are other items that are passed by the board only one time and then become part of the practice of the board. And I asked that because I had some question about some of the language in relation to the Code of Virginia. And so I'm curious about why this particular resolution comes up annually instead of being integrated into board policy.
That's a really good discussion, Dr. Gitry. I don't have that answer. I don't know why it wasn't integrated into board policy, but I knew we approved it at the annual meeting last year. So as a practice, we were doing it again this year, but it might be something we want to look at if we want to make a policy change and incorporate it.
Yeah, so I'll vote yes, but on the condition that we do revisit it, because it's a little unusual to be annually passing one particular resolution when there's policy that it should be integrated with it, if it's the will of the board to make it policy. Thank you.
So I would say that the possible reason for this, because it's been going for years, is to just reaffirm, not just with our policy, but with the board, making a statement that we are committed to doing hiring the way it should be done. Even
I
in
appreciate
the
that.
policies, are referenced in the resolution. But I'm going to be voting no, but anyway, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that, but if it's different than the actual policy, for instance, for transfers, it's different language. You wouldn't want to have two different policies covering the same activity by the school board. So the better thing would be to change the policy and reaffirm that every year. That would be my recommendation to the school board, rather than to have two different policies or language for the same activity of the school board in the division. So I'll support the will of the board, but I think it's incumbent upon the board to rectify that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to be voting no, because I think I just have some questions about our hiring practices. So I would be more than willing to take a deeper look at what's going on.
Anyone else? Okay. Yeah, I think those are all good points. I think one thing I want to be more diligent about this year is when we have these conversations, is make sure we follow up with them and actually have those conversations and discussions. So, if in new business we want to bring that up and make sure it becomes on our future agenda. So, great. Okay, hearing no other discussion, Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
No.
Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. All right, next up is the adoption of the board procedures, code of ethics, and standards of conduct.
I move that we table the motion, table the norms and protocols. I have concerns about it not conforming with
It's
parliamentary.
actually a different agenda item. That's a separate one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is our school board procedures and standards of conduct and the code of ethics, both of which we have links to in our board docs.
I move that we adopt the Board Procedures Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, next up, the school board norms and protocols. The
let's
norms
try
and
this.
protocols were adopted in January 2021. Do I have a motion to reaffirm these protocols?
I'll try this again. I'd like to move that we table the school board norms and protocols. I have concerns about it conforming to parliamentary procedures. It contradicts VBA guidance, is non-compliant with some existing board policy.
Can we have a motion to table this?
I'll
Need
second.
a second? Okay. And now we need discussion about the motion to table. Any comments? Any discussion?
I should say the reason I'm suggesting we table is I think that it requires a longer conversation that we can have this evening to reconcile and to just talk about some of those concerns. So I think there's a lot of the document that does make sense, but I think it shouldn't contradict board policy, and I think we should follow VSBA guidance on some of these issues.
Any other discussion?
I don't see the problem with going ahead and approving it, though, and then putting it on a future agenda to discuss it. I think you need to put something into action to have. I mean, it's been working for a long time.
Anyone else?
Yeah, what are a few of the items that you specifically have issue with?
Sure. I mean, one of them is there's language here about how things are added to an agenda, and it requires a consensus of the board. And consensus is not a word that appears in the Roberts Rules of Order, as far as I know. I don't know how that's defined. And also, new business is for new business, but not for setting an agenda for the following. That's one. That's fairly minor. That there's language in here about the responsibility of board members to the superintendent, and this is just about policy, not about our current superintendent. And so there's guidance about how, say, complaints that are made to the school board members should be handled, and the guidance that the language in here is different from that, and I think that language that the SBA use is appropriate language. So for instance, if there are complaints, what you're supposed to do is if it's a staff member, to guide those complaints through the chain of command. It's not in every instance to go to the superintendent and tell the superintendent what the complaint is. And I could explain more why I think VSBA guidance is good on that. So that's another area. There are a few other areas. We have a policy about setting an agenda. This is not what the policy currently is. So you have this document in variance with official school policy, board policy, and you shouldn't have that. So that's why I recommend we have a further discussion another time.
Any other discussion?
I'm just curious, and since a lot of us are still new, maybe Ms. Bond or Ms. Franklin may be aware, have we had any issues evolving with this policy that I can't think of anything that's come up to where it would be reflective of us not doing something right with this. I'm just trying to think if we've had any issues arise due to what we've got here. Since Mr. Guitry was, bringing up some things about the VSBA, which I know is guidance, and we can specifically use that for guidance, but we can still kind of do what we feel is right. But just curious if any previous board members or anyone would know if we've had any issues regarding this policy previously.
So one of the things that I'm feeling that we as a board should do is to look at documents like this and our policy and our practices and see if things do align so that we as a board have a clear understanding about how things are operating. Because quite frankly, I'm not so clear on some of the ways that we're doing things these days. So I have no problem and look forward to having deeper conversations about how we operate and what our policies are actually saying.
I was going to say, I think we even had discussion about that earlier before the end of the year, that's something that we definitely want to put on the agenda to do. But I think, like I said, just moving forward as you know, a business, and then as we bring into different policies and looking at them and going, okay, how are we going to fix this? Or what does that say and how does it not say it? And I think one of the reasons the verbiage might be different than what you were saying in Robert's rules, it was just a way for the board to agree on, instead of just everybody having an idea and a notion and putting it on the agenda. And it that way, and maybe changing that word, but that's to keep from having a bombarding of things on the agenda, because it was getting to that. And that's really not fair to our staff, or, you know, to work toward everything that one board member wants. So if we have a consensus from all the board members, then whether that's the right word or whether it's not, then you get the idea, though, of what that was leaning toward.
Oh, I can understand the rationale. It's just that contradicts both official board policy. So that board policy should have been changed if that was the will of the board. And second, that's not Robert's Rules of Order. So if that's the parliamentary rules by which the board is operating, then it should find some other means for encouraging that. So that's all I would say. But I understand the rationale behind it.
What word would you recommend?
I would recommend following
had
Robert's
something in
Rules of Order, because I think that's the parliamentary rules that this board operates under.
I mean, I don't think we're going to solve this issue tonight, but I definitely feel like there's enough folks here and with interest in discussing this further that we should take a decision on this, either to review it. I personally had issues with this since I joined the board. I was comfortable voting for it this year because I feel like the way that this is written, with a well-functioning school board and a positive relationship with your superintendent, I think everything kind of works, right? But I think we've seen in the past, some issues maybe can be highlighted as a result of those norms and protocols. So I was going to be okay approving them tonight, with the caveat that we review them at a board retreat or working session. I could be in support of tabling them as well, if that's the will of the board. But regardless, I think we need to take some intentional time to review this thing, and especially if it's in conflict with our own school board policies. So, okay, so we do have a motion to table this currently. Do we have any other discussion on that before we take a vote? And if that doesn't pass, then we'll have the vote to actually approve these or not, okay? Okay, I'm hearing no other discussion. And Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll on the motion to table the norms and protocols?
Okay. Ms. Bond?
No.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
No.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed.
Okay. So motion carries. So the norms and protocols is tabled for now. We should absolutely follow up, obviously, in a future meeting to have those discussions so we can bring this motion back up for a future vote. Okay? Alrighty. Moving on along to our reaffirmation of the statement of inclusivity. Do I have a motion to reaffirm the school division's statement of inclusivity?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Mr. Gitry,
Yes.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
Ms. Parton,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell,
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree,
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Next up is the adoption of the resolution authorizing the superintendent to settle claims against the school board. I need a motion to approve a resolution granting authority to the division superintendent to authorize settlement of claims against the school board.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Franklin,
Yes.
Mr. Gitry,
Yes.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes.
Ms. Parton,
Yes.
Ms. Purcell,
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree,
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right. And then last up in this organizational section is the announcement regarding the availability of our policy manual. The MCPS policy manual is available on the MCPS website at www.mcps.org. Printed copies are available to citizens as needed and by contacting the clerk of the board. All right. That concludes our reorganization of the school board portion of our agenda. Now we can move along to the honors, awards, and recognition. So tonight, our representative reports, we have Alicia Wang here from BHS. Would you like to share a report?
I would, in fact, like to share a report. Thank you. As the fall semester came to a close, Blacksburg High School had much to be happy about. The arts departments were going strong, with strong performances of James and the Giant Peach and by our theater department, and wonderful winter concerts by our band. We also have much to look forward to this semester. Spring sports begin on February 19th, and we hope our athletes on the lacrosse, soccer, track and field, baseball, softball, and tennis teams have a great season come the next few months. On the academic side of things, our academic and career planning night is on January 24th at 6 p.m., where we hope to meet our rising high schoolers and welcome them to our community. For our seniors, we are holding a FAFSA workshop on February 8th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., where seniors and their parents will be guided in filling out a crucial form for the seniors' next steps in their academic careers. This week is the Battle of the Bergs in girls and boys basketball. Our JV teams play Thursday at Blacksburg, and our varsity teams traveled to Christiansburg High on Friday night. Finally, our Mountain Academic Competition Conference teams, MAC, are very excited for the tournament season to begin. We've been practicing hard, and we hope to engage in some fun matches this year. That is all from BHS this time. Thank you for listening.
Great, thank you, Alicia. All right. Next up, we have our Seniors of the Month. Mr. Simpson will start our presentation for Seniors of the Month.
Let's try that again. Good evening, school board members and Dr. Bregan. Welcome to our new school board members. A very special highlight of our board meeting is the recognition of an outstanding senior from each of our 4 high schools. Photos and leadership profiles will be displayed on the screen during this presentation and will also be on display in the lobby of the central office. Our presentation format provides a snapshot of each senior along with a quote from the teacher or administrator who nominated them for this recognition. Each principal will come forward to recognize their Senior of the Month in the following order, starting with Mr. David Hurd, principal of Auburn High School, Mr. Chris Stewart, principal of Blacksburg High School, Mr. Shane Gwynn, Principal of Christiansburg High School, and Mr. Todd Lewis, Principal of Eastern Montgomery High School. Mr. Hurd.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Bregan, Ms. Osborne. I'm David Hurd, principal of Auburn High School. The January Senior of the Month of for Auburn High School is Kaylee Hodge. Kaylee is unable to attend tonight, but in her absence, we'll go ahead and recognize her. Kaylee is an excellent student in all areas at AHS with a particular talent in her English and Performing Arts classes. She was awarded the Youth Singer Award for her performance in choir class last year. Kaylee's demonstrated proficiency in American Sign Language, having finished 3 years of the course. She has an interest in teaching young people and was given the Early Childhood Education Award for excellence in that field. In addition to her excellence in the classroom and the field, she's been a member of several clubs such as the Bible Study Club, the GSA, and has even served as president of the Student Government Association. The nominating teacher provided a quote about Kaylee. Kaylee is a thoughtful, compassionate, and hardworking student who sets out to achieve all of her goals. She's diligent in her schoolwork and challenges her peers to see new perspectives with spirited debates. Her exuberance in the classroom will continue beyond AHS, and we're truly honored to have her as a student. She accomplished all these things while working part-time at a local convenience store. Her supervisor from the store told me that she was determined and driven to succeed. She's not afraid to give up her free time to work. Armed with all these skills and her work ethic, Kaylee will be successful in everything she attempts, and I feel confident she will graduate from college and make the world a better place as a teacher in an early childhood classroom setting. Her character shines through, and this is a characteristic necessary for all who aspire to become educators. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Bregan. It is my pleasure to present to you Blacksburg High School's Senior of the Month. This evening, I'd like to recognize Grace Elizabeth Maxwell as Blacksburg High School's January Senior of the Month. Grace is here with her family. I'd like to invite them to come up and join me. And I'd like to read a brief statement by one of our staff members highlighting how great of a student Grace is. Sorry, Grace. Grace Maxwell has maintained a rigorous course load of multiple DE and AP courses, as well as playing softball throughout high school. She is vice president of the Elvis Presley Club, a member of Female Empowerment Club, and vice president of Stitchin' for Good, our crochet club. She works 2 jobs, one at Hello Bagel and the other at Space Rabbit Coffee Company. Upon graduation, she plans to attend Virginia Tech and major in human nutrition, foods, and exercise science. With that degree, she plans to become a physician's assistant. Grace is an excellent writer and serves as editor for the Blacksburg High School online newspaper. She is supportive of her peers, and according to one of her teachers, Grace is fun-loving and attentive to those around her. Congratulations, Grace.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Bregan. Thank you all for this opportunity to highlight one of our outstanding seniors at Christiansburg High School. It is my pleasure to introduce the January Senior of the Month for Christiansburg High School as Mr. Jeremiah Garrettson. I would like to ask that Jeremiah and his family please come up at this time. When asking one of his teachers to describe Jeremiah, they said, Jeremiah is a tremendous student who prides himself on his ability to not only excel in the classroom, but also give back to the community. His academic success is impressive, but his compassion for younger adults is what I am most in awe of. Jeremiah is often sought out by his peers for his sense of humor and his sage advice, most of which belies his young years. He is motivated, outgoing, and most importantly, he is respectful in all that he does. It should be noted that many of the leadership positions that Jeremiah holds are ones where he has been nominated by others, both fellow students and teachers, who clearly recognize his integrity and character. In all that he does, he maintains excellent composure even during difficult and challenging times and works diligently to ensure he is an exemplar for other students. After high school, Jeremiah plans to attend Radford University to double major in recreation, parks, and tourism, and secondary education with a focus on history. His ultimate goal is to teach all year and guide all summer. Congratulations, Jeremiah. Put your arm around your mom.
I gotta believe Jeremiah gets some of that sage advice from his dad there.
I know.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Bregan. It is my pleasure to represent Eastern Montgomery High School in recognizing our January Senior of the Month, Ryan Epperly. Ryan is here with his family, and I'd like to request that they come forward at this time. One of Ryan's teachers, Mark Eaton, provided a statement highlighting Ryan's outstanding qualities and accomplishments, and I would like to share that at this time. Ryan is one of the hardest working, self-motivated students at EMHS. He has challenged himself academically by taking several DE classes and enrolling in community college summer classes as well. To boost his learning outside of the classroom, he has also taught himself coding with JavaScript and 3D modeling with AutoCAD Fusion 360. He is active in the school's Beta Club and Future Farmers of America. He has been a voluntary tutor to his fellow students in mathematics for SATs and for the Scientific Minds of America. He was a member of the Virginia Boys State in 2023, where he was elected Commissioner of the Revenue for Burke City, as well as being the original Virginia Boys State Governor nominee for Burke City. He is currently competing for a seat as part of the Virginia Aerospace Science and Technology Scholars 2024 program, which is hosted at NASA Langley Research Center. He will be attending Virginia Tech to study aerospace engineering and would like to become an aerospace engineer for NASA and study superluminal speeds. We wish him well in these endeavors and congratulate him on being our January Senior of the Month.
Okay, and that concludes our Seniors of the Month. Definitely appreciate everybody's patience with us tonight as we get through our organization meeting. And we're going to take a 10-minute break to thank our honorees for being here today.
I'm going to give him a card.
Okay, thanks, everybody. We'll get back going here. Our next agenda item is public address. We welcome the opportunity to hear from students, parents, employees, and community members about education matters in this community. As a reminder, the board sets aside 30 minutes to start a public address. We have the option to extend in 30-minute increments, which Ms. Osborne will remind us of. If there are additional speakers after 90 minutes, the board will continue with their business meeting and hold one additional 30-minute session at the end of the business meeting. The clock continues through applause and disruptions. The more disruptions there are, the fewer speakers who get to address the board. I'll call each speaker up by name in the order that they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board does not respond to speakers during public address. The screens will show when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining and when time is up. Please state your name and the area of the county you live in. And the first and only speaker tonight is Bob Beard.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations to being being elected to Board of Supervisors, and congratulations again for being chair. And Dr. Bregan, thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight. Everyone, my name is Bob Beard. I live here in Christiansburg, and we just had an election, and it seemed like every time I turned around when I was talking to someone who had a different opinion than I did, it was always about the budget. There was a cut in school budget, and so I never, Todd King and those guys always spoke that there was never a school budget. So I went online and cut this off of the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors website, their planner. And I look here, and in 2014 the budget was $42 million, and in 2024 it's $58 million. I'm not seeing any decreases. So I know I didn't go to school here. I went to school in North Carolina. I graduated from UNCC with a business degree, and I had economics and so forth. But when I read this, I'm not seeing any budget cuts. So when I'm asking you guys to help educate me, and on what I'm missing from what I'm understanding on why the perception is there was a budget cut. I'm just not seeing it. The budget increased from in 2019 from $48 million to 2024 to $58 million. So that's a 18%, close to 20% increase in budget from 2019 to 2024. Okay, so again, please educate me on how we're having a budget cut and how the Board of Supervisors wasn't doing their job without raising taxes. You guys still got more money without raising taxes. And we're spending over $14,000 per student. And my next question is, when is enough enough? We're spending $95 million on the renovations for Christiansburg High School. Salem did the same project, 1,200 students, 1,600 for $35 million. Again, the money's there. You guys, it's up to you guys to be frugal enough to understand not to raise taxes when 50% of our county is living paycheck to paycheck. We got a fiscal budget of $34 trillion. It would take us, if you spend $1 every second, it would take you 31,000 years to spend $1 trillion. We're at $34,000 in debt. Biden's new budget wants a $7.5 trillion budget increase. Tax increase. Guys, so it's budget season, so I'm asking you guys to be frugal and be concerned about the citizens of this county when you're looking at budget for 2024. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Beard. And seeing no other names signed up for public address is closed. Okay.
I thought it was customary for you to open it up to people that did not sign after the people that had signed to come up. Is that correct? It's not? They don't do that anymore? Oh, so I can have my seat or can I speak?
In your case, Mr. Brown, I think we'll let you speak. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, superintendent, my name is Earl Brown. I reside in Blacksburg, Virginia, 502 Woodbine, Blacksburg, Virginia. I am a retired senior custodian from Montgomery County Public Schools. I worked 2 years at Christiansburg Middle and 25 years at Margaret Beeks Elementary School. And I was also self-employed when I accepted a job, and I'm still presently still self-employed. I retired, will be 5 years at the end of June that I retired from Montgomery County Public Schools. I also would like to say that I really enjoyed my job at Margaret Beeks. I'm also proud to say that a former student is here from Margaret Beeks that is attending Radford University that is majoring in education. I'm really proud of that person that's in the audience. Also, over the years, the buildings that we have, that Montgomery County has, they have gotten larger, which means that requires more supplies and more equipment. The custodial staff, most of the time people have a idea that what they do is dust, vacuum, sweep, and clean restrooms. Actually, they do a lot more than that. They also perform security duties for the building. They check the buildings for operations during the day when the school begins. If there's something that is incorrect and wrong, they notify the principal or the services department to correct those to make sure that the day can begin. Also, other issues that they may have, custodians are also responsible for setting up for programs, cleaning up after programs, and this also may include weekends as well, so there's a lot of responsibility there. Other duties also may include their own call. They respond to their alarms when the alarm goes off to make sure nothing's been damaged or the heat may be off, things of this nature. Most of the time, the custodians are the first person that gets to the building when the alarm goes off and in the morning when the schools are opened up. In the winter, custodians are responsible for snow removal to make sure that the students, teachers, and parents can get into the schools. When I worked at Margaret Beeks Elementary School, for the 25 years that I was there, I worked for 6 different principals, and actually I worked with 6 different principals, and they were excellent principals. The salary, of course, everybody knows that that is an issue, but the issue that I wanted to address also is that when custodians are hired, a lot of the time they have to wait somewhere between 45 and 60 days to receive their first paycheck. And I found that over the years that most of the time when people came to apply at Montgomery County Schools, they were on their last leg and needed money and couldn't wait that long, so they kind of bypassed the schools.
Mr. Brown, I apologize. Your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. The public address is now closed. Moving on to consent items. If no one wishes to move an item out of consent, we will consider these items approved. Okay. Next up, our financial reports. Do I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of the financial summary report?
Seconded.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitchery?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Next up is the payment of the bills. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of the bills as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitchery?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, next we'll move to the business portion of our meeting. Start with the report from the superintendent.
Thank you, Board Chair Hudson. First, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone and welcome back. Staff arrived last Thursday in preparation for our students who came back yesterday, and I'm looking forward to a great remainder of the year and second semester. I'd like to welcome our new and returning board members, and congratulations to our Board Chair Hudson and Vice Chair Bond. Again, look forward to working with all of you during the course of this year. For the next meeting on the 23rd, I plan to submit our budget with our statement of needs from the superintendent. We got our calculation tool numbers on Friday, and we're putting that information in, and preliminary data indicates that we will get more state aid than we got last year, so that's always good news. So I look forward to presenting that to the school board on the 23rd. And lastly, I want to report that on December 27th, we received our notice to proceed from Christiansburg Township. That's regarding the Christiansburg High School renovation, and basically what that means is all the permits are approved, and we begin moving forward. And it starts the countdown for the completion clock with the contractor, so we're really excited about that. I plan to update the board regularly. We want to try to put some information on the website, maybe even a live camera that'll go through the process as the construction's taking place. So looking forward to that. That's all I have, Board Chair.
Great, thank you, Dr. Bregan. Next up, we have the MCPS staffing update. Dr. Widener here to present that.
Good evening, Chair Hudson, school board members, Dr. Bregan. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight and to give you an update as we start the new year on our staffing vacancies. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to identify the vacancies that we have in the school division, along with our processes and efforts that we have in place to fill those vacancies. There we go. Just to start off with, I always like to show a comparison to where we are now compared to where we were a year ago. So I've broken down our vacancies into categories. You can see our administrator, elementary certified, secondary certified, special education, and then our classified positions. So you can see there's some similarities in the numbers where we were this time last year as to where we are now. Although we do see slightly more, certainly in our certified areas. I do want to make one correction on there. The secondary certified vacancies right now are actually at 5. And then we see the biggest difference is in our area of special education. The next slide shows a comparison between where we were last month at the start of December at our last board meeting and where we are now. So you can see there's been a little bit of movement, and again, I will go through and explain to you each of those categories where we have filled positions and where we are still in the hiring process or where we are posting and accepting applications. So the first category on there are our administrator positions. So we still continue to have a coordinator of special education position open that we're seeking to fill, and we are very happy that we now have a new coordinator of communications and public relations. Andrew Webb started his position last week, so that position is filled. And just for our new board members, I just want to explain to you just kind of the information that I put in here, what it means. So under the status, it'll either say that we have a new vacancy that we're accepting applications for. If it says that we're in the hiring process, that means that we have begun the process of looking at applications and conducting interviews. If it says a candidate is recommended, that means that we have recommended a candidate and we're in the workflow process, so that individual might require additional approval and/or a background check. If it says a candidate is selected, that means that person has been through the entire approval process and we're in the last stage of that process, which is going to the personnel report where you will approve that individual. And if it's filled, that's what we want to see. That means we have filled those positions. Moving on to our elementary vacancies. So these are our current vacancies that we have. We continue to have a reading specialist opening at Harding Avenue. However, we do have a certified long-term sub there. We have a school counselor position at KIPS. Again, we do have a long-term sub there. In special education, we've made some progress in the last month. We have filled 2 positions. So Bellevue and Price's Fork now have positions that were vacant there. Those are now filled. And we have a candidate on the personnel report tonight for Falling Branch. So that's good news in the area of special education. It does leave us 2 openings in elementary special education. So we still have an opening at CPS, and then we had a recent vacancy at Auburn Elementary. However, we do have long-term subs in place for both of those vacancies. Our speech language pathologist and school psychologist positions, those have been open all year, and those are positions that we have been contracting out, but we're hoping that we will be able to fill them for next year. And then we do have candidates selected for our gifted resource positions. We are just waiting we will wait to fill the positions that they would be exiting in the school division before we move them into those positions. So again, those are our elementary certified vacancies. These are our secondary vacancies, and like I corrected, we currently have 5, so we continue to have 2 counselor positions, one at Auburn Middle School and one at BHS, a half-time reading literacy coach position. We do have a candidate selected for the special education position that is open at CMS, so that's good news. Unfortunately, we do have a new vacancy in special education, our on-campus transition program at RU. That position is open, although I am glad to say we do have a certified long-term sub in that position who's a retired special education teacher, and we are accepting applications. We continue to look for an earth science teacher at Blacksburg Middle School, a part-time ISAP position at Montgomery Central. That's a recent vacancy we're accepting applications for. And then we had a recent vacancy at CMS for a CTE business position, but they are already in the hiring process for that, so we hope to have that position filled soon. Again, those are our certified vacancies, so those are vacancies that require a license. Our classified employee vacancies, these are different forms of support staff, so I'll go through and explain. These are kind of broken down by department. So in our facilities department, we continue to have 4 open positions there, 2 HVAC, a grounds maintenance position, and a construction project manager position. These can be hard to fill positions, so we are accepting applications there. In technology, we've made some progress. So we had 3 technician positions that were open. One was recently filled. We had 2 individuals who retired at the end of this December, but the technology department has already recommended 2 candidates for those vacancies, so we've made progress there. In our transportation department, we have 2 open bus driver positions. However, we do have a candidate identified for the 6.5-hour position, and then a candidate recommended for the 4.25 hours. So we're making progress there, and we continue to look for 2 mechanics and 2 bus aides. Other classified positions, we are in the hiring process to hire an executive administrative assistant board clerk. We have a candidate selected for our administrative assistant position to the director of secondary and CTE. We have a candidate recommended for an administrative assistant position at Montgomery Central. That was a fairly recent vacancy, but they've already interviewed and recommended a candidate. We have filled the athletic trainer position at Blacksburg High School. That is filled with, we have 2 part-time people filling that position. We have selected a candidate. We have a candidate to take tonight to the personnel report for our nurse opening at CES. We have reduced the instructional aid positions. We had 2 vacancies at Eastern Montgomery Elementary. One of those has been filled, so we are accepting applications for the other one. Our early literacy aid positions are filled. We filled the last one at Price's Fork. And we do have 6 vacancies for special education aides, but we do have 2 candidates that are currently recommended for 2 of those positions. We have filled a lunch recess aide position at Eastern Montgomery Elementary School. We have 2 other candidates that are recommended, one for Kipps and Margaret Beeks. So that will leave us 2 openings, one at CPS and one at Harding. We continue to accept applications for the lunch or recess aide at CES and Gilbert Linkus. We have filled our ISS aide position at Chawsville Middle School. And in our custodian vacancies, I'm very happy to report that I think this is the lowest number of vacancies we've had since I've been in HR, but all of our elementary positions for custodians in our elementary buildings could be filled after tonight. We have filled Kipps and Harding Avenue, and we have a candidate recommended for Eastern Montgomery Elementary School, so that's very good news. Again, I want to commend Robbie Jones and everyone who works in that area on their efforts to fill those positions. Our secondary custodians, BHS, we have filled a position there along with Eastern Montgomery High School, and we do have candidates selected for the opening at Auburn Middle and the other 2 openings at BHS, which would leave Auburn High School and CHS with our only 2 vacancies once those are filled. So very excited about that. We've made a lot of progress, and we've put a lot of effort into trying to fill those positions. All right, and then lastly, I just want to kind of give you an overview on substitute fill rate positions. So we currently have 465 active substitutes. That includes 11 new substitutes who came to orientation either last month or will be there tomorrow. It also includes our 27 RIHIP substitutes. And there's our overall fill rate for December. We had an 89% fill rate for teachers and a 40% fill rate for aides, which is similar to what we've seen throughout the year. I did break it down for you, similar to what I did last time, just to give you a look at our communities, and then I'll give you a look at by level. This is just for the month of December, so you can see there are some differences. There's certainly differences between our teacher fill rate and our aides fill rate, but then there are some differences between our communities. Auburn had a 92% fill rate for teachers, Blacksburg 94, Christiansburg 86, Eastern Montgomery 77. And as I indicated at the last meeting, we are looking at that, and so we have each of our schools has a designated sub, and we've been able to identify some additional designated subs that we're placing in Eastern Montgomery Elementary School, Shawsville Middle School, and Eastern Montgomery High School. So a couple of those individuals are coming to orientation this week, and we hope to have all those individuals in place this month so that going forward, I hope to see an increase in the fill rate in that community. And then that's just a breakdown by level. So again, there's not as much variance here, but you can see for our teachers, elementary was a 90% fill rate, middle school was slightly lower, 83%, high school was 92%, and then you can see the aide fill rate, 35% for elementary, 46% for middle school, and 69% for high school, although high school did have a lower number of positions to fill. So can I answer any questions related to our staffing update or our vacancies?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So I'm new here, so I hope I don't ask too many questions. So I'm trying to understand the special ed. Are you saying that if those two that are recommended are hired, that there's only 4 teachers that those positions that'll be unfilled? Then there's still the aides. Is that correct?
Are you asking about teachers or are you asking about aides?
So those, I think I'm asking about teachers there. Is that correct?
Yeah, so under the certified, I did separate the special education teachers out. So we have the 6 total openings, but then we do have 2 of those were filled. So we have a candidate recommended at Falling Branch, so that could become a filled position by tomorrow, and then we have a candidate recommended at CMS.
Great. And what's that in ratio to what would be the full staffing for special education?
We have about, I think, 117 special education positions.
Okay, so that's not a significant impact on having those opening positions. I'm wondering what the impact of having that shortage in special ed over an extended period of time is.
So over time, it certainly has an impact in terms of, special education teachers have licenses not just to provide specialized instruction in the classroom, but they also are typically the case managers. And so they're in charge of overseeing the IEP and the paperwork that goes along with that, and that is work that does require a license. So anytime we have a vacancy, if we don't have a licensed substitute in that position, then a school has to look at sometimes redistributing that caseload to other people who are certified and have the ability to carry out those duties.
Okay, thank you. So you feel confident that we're meeting our obligations in special ed despite having those shortages?
Yes, we are making adjustments as we need to make sure that the appropriate people are carrying out those duties and providing those services.
Great, thank you.
So I had a but I don't see.
You still muted, Penny. There you go.
I always get that mixed up, red or, anyway. So how many vacancies are there?
We have 1 vacancy there.
Okay,
Yeah, and then in HVAC, we have 2.
okay, thank you. So that gives us a total of how many grounds maintenance positions that we have?
Currently, we have 1 opening there. In the whole facilities department, I think I had said we have 4 open positions. So it was the 2 HVAC positions, the grounds maintenance position, and then we're still trying to fill that construction project manager position.
Okay. So as far as because there's been conversation around our grounds folks, how many grounds folks do we have employed at this point that take care of the grounds?
I don't know that I know that off the top of my head. I want to say it's between maybe 6 and 8.
Okay. So it's better than the 5 that we had before?
5 openings?
No, 5 people that we had at one point.
I apologize. We have 6 total positions. We have 5 filled and 1 vacant for our grounds and maintenance. Our grounds crew. So there are 6 positions, and 1 of them is vacant at this time.
Okay, so we have 6 folks taking care of all our grounds. Well,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Widener.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the approval for the secondary programs of study. Mr. Simpson is here to answer any questions about the secondary programs of study.
Good evening, school board members. Dr. Bregan. Tonight, seek the approval of the middle and high school programs of study for the 24-25 school year. The programs of study serve as a repository for approved courses and as a reference manual for information related to relevant policies and forms, career and degree guidance, graduation requirements, etc. These documents have been shared with you prior to the meeting for your approval. Some of the highlights are listed as some additional courses added at the middle school related to science, 5 new courses that have been added at the high school level, and some restructuring of our DE and AP classes. Once these documents are approved, they'll be shared with our technology team, who will then manipulate the course registration process to align with the updated version, so that when, as Luciu added earlier, the academic and career planning nights are coming up at each of our secondary schools, which are really open to any students, any families that want to learn about course offerings. And so once those meetings happen, the portal will open, and believe it or not, students will sign up for courses for next year. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Penny, did you have something?
No.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, you might go on. I'd just like to say I'm super excited to see the data science class in particular. In the software industry, we've seen a lot of increasing need for data analytics, and Virginia Tech has a computational modeling and data analytics major there now, so that data science class will help students get ready for that. So that's very cool.
So I'd like to say I'm excited to see all the DEAP classes there, because I know last year, just because I had a senior, we didn't have DE chemistry, we didn't have the history and some of the other stuff that will count now, so I'm really excited. I know those teachers are hard to find, so excited to see all of this being added, and I wondered if we are possibly maybe still thinking about trying to recruit a DE anatomy. I know that one's a really, really specific skilled specified, but I didn't know if that was still being thought about or.
Right. That's a great question. And so to clarify for both of those comments, so data science, any of these new courses that are being proposed, it's all, our schedule is all driven by student interest, right? So the courses are put out there. Hopefully we have 25 kids sign up for data science, so we can run it. If 2 sign up, probably won't run that course. As far as DE and AP, the dual enrolled credential is more difficult to find folks who are certified. They have to have 18, either a master's degree or 18 graduate hours in the field. And so as far as DE/AP, for example, if a course is offered in that format, that means that the teacher's credentialed to teach both. In some cases, we have to offer courses as just AP, because that teacher doesn't have the DE credential. So we do have a dual enrolled human anatomy teacher in the division that's split between 2 schools. So, but we're always seeking more DE certified candidates.
How are the advanced science classes going to work at the middle school level?
A good question. So we have a new pathway. Right now, all middle school students take earth science in 8th grade. That was a recent change that has, we're now altering that. And so we're moving back to, in alignment with what many middle schools do across the Commonwealth, which is have a traditional science pathway, which is Science 6, Life Science in 7th grade, and Physical Science in 8th grade, and then offering an advanced path. And so that path would be Advanced Science 6 in 6th grade, Advanced Science 7, and then it would end in Earth Science, the high school course, in 8th grade. And so we are trying to move into alignment with what we do with our advanced math and our honors English 7, Honors English 8s, to have a placement process that's based on data, based on student achievement data, to where kids are placed in the appropriate level to set them up for success. So in the program of studies, there's a pathway that kind of gives a flow chart of how students move between those courses. Advanced science works similar to advanced math in that they are covering, for example, advanced math 6, it covers all the science 6 standards as well as some of the physical science standards. And then advanced science 7 covers all of life science and the other half of physical science. So they get the 3 years of the traditional middle school sciences in 2 years, which is kind of how advanced math 6 and advanced math 7 work.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the secondary programs of study?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, great. Ms. Osborne, you please call the roll.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Gitchery?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Next up is the Gifted Advisory Committee approval. The proposed 2023-2024 committee membership for the Gifted Advisory Committee was presented for the board's consideration on November 7th, 2023. Administration recommends approving the 2023-2024 Gifted Advisory Committee roster. Do I have a motion to approve the roster as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Red is off.
Okay.
There you go.
As I have made comments about all of our committees, we have to do a better job of diversifying. And on this committee, as far as voting members, there are no African-American voting members, no Hispanic, Latino. And with this committee especially, I would question, how are we actually engaging those communities to help them understand what these programs are? And I would like to see the data that shows the proportion of minority students who are enrolled in our programs, and if we are in line.
Good evening. I am happy to provide that data to you, Ms. Franklin. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Bregan. Thank you for considering this. I will say that I'm at the mercy of people willing to volunteer their time. And so while I advertise heavily and send out requests for people to participate in this committee to all of our identified families of all of our identified students and members of the school and the community, again, I'm at the mercy of people who want to spend their evening hanging out with me looking at documents. So if you had suggestions on ways I could better advertise, I welcome those. Being new to this position, I am learning, and my biggest goal is to increase our diversity and our equity in our program. And so again, I would love to meet with you if you had suggestions on ways that I could do a better job of meeting those goals. Currently, I am working to participate in all the academic and career planning evenings at the middle school and high school, just so everyone sees my face and can ask questions. I think it's easier if we're in person than someone sort of cold calling or emailing me. So I accept your criticism. It is a problem that we are not diverse in our identification at this point. And please know that as I'm rewriting the 25 to 2030 plan, that is at the forefront of my mind. And again, I welcome a discussion or comments on that.
I always suggest it's nice to advertise, but
Yeah.
as your efforts you say you're making to attend
Yeah.
functions where you may be able to meet with folks, but to have real sit down,
Yeah.
even if it's a telephone call
Absolutely.
with folks to help them understand the impact of this committee. and how important it is for there to be representation.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree.
Yep, so thank you.
Yeah.
So as far as our numbers with this, maybe that's another conversation for another day, but I would surely like to see where we're at as far as representation of our students.
Yeah, I'm happy to present
Yeah.
those to you when you're ready. We are also working to increase gifted resource teacher presence in the K-2 classrooms so that we can expose all students to this higher level of thinking, in order, the thought being that by exposing them to that at an early age, then we are driving that more equitable identification process when that time comes in second grade.
Okay.
So that is actively things that we are talking about.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Look forward to hearing.
Anything else I can answer for y'all? I will say the only 2 openings were Blacksburg openings. At this time, we had, our ratios were fulfilled for the other areas in the county. 1, because Emily Loda stepped down, and 2, because I got a new job, so I can't be a voting member anymore. So we were very fortunate to have 2 parents from the Blacksburg community step up and be willing to serve on the GAC.
Okay, great. Any more discussion?
Thank you.
Okay, we have a vote. We have a motion and a second. Hearing no more discussion, Ms. Osborne, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
No.
Mr. Gitry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Roundtree?
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. All right, now we're down to unfinished business. I don't see any items of unfinished business to discuss. Next down to new business. Are there any items of new business?
I would like to state something for discussion if possible. So, I'm not really sure how this works, just the student rep, but I've been collecting feedback from my peers. Like, I've sent out a form and they've filled out with what they think their concerns are and that they would like me to bring up. So, a great majority of the responses I received were people expressing concerns for LGBTQ plus student safety, as in maybe bathroom policies, and also just these students, this population of students feeling as if they may not be particularly safe going to schools. I mean, I'm only getting things from Blacksburg High School, so this is what the BHS students think. So I believe we may need to talk about that some, if that's where it goes, like in new business. Additionally, just bathroom problems in general. There have been a lot of students also saying that people have been engaging in substance use in the bathrooms, mostly vaping reports, and that something should be done about that because bathrooms are not places where you should be able to hide and do substance things. So these are just 2 of the biggest issues that I've been told about by my peers or constituents, maybe that's another word for it. So yeah, I figured I'd bring it up.
I'm not sure how we typically incorporate a student feedback like that, but I think it'd be useful to maybe email that list of concerns to everybody on the school board so we can see it and think about it.
Yeah, will do.
Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thanks for bringing that up.
So I have one that probably should have been under old business, and one under new business. So under old business, we heard about the water conditions at Montgomery, well, not Montgomery Central now, but
Eastern Montgomery?
no,
Eastmont?
no. Yeah, the ops center, yeah, the ops. And there not be drinking water? They can't drink the water? Yeah, because there were two big concerns when our folks
Yeah, I
came
remember
up to speak to us with their presentations. And I don't understand how we have a building where folks can't drink the water.
I think Dr. Whitaker could address that if you wanted to now.
Sure.
Yes, unfortunately, that is correct. We do bring water in. Following that meeting, our operations team sat together and discussed what was happening, what our thoughts were on that, and how we were going to move forward, because we don't want those individual departments to have to fund that. So we are working on amending that. We're going to need to get a quote to get those water lines. They're going to have to be replaced, and that's why it just hasn't been done yet, is because that information hasn't been pulled together. But it is certainly a priority. It is something that we have to look at. But we are ensuring at this time that all staff, they were getting water, bottled water supplied to them, but it is not through the pipes in the building at this time. Those pipes are being used, of course, for flushing and for those things that are, it's not potable water. But we are ensuring that they have water in their work facility at this time.
So how long has this been an issue?
It's been for a while. I don't know exactly how long, but I can tell you at least for 2 years.
So what's
That
wrong
I
with-
know of.
What's wrong with the water?
It's the pipes themselves. The pipes are going to have to be replaced, and so
But what, I mean, is it got iron? I mean, what is it? Is it putting residue in the water, or, I mean, because a lot of the buildings downtown have that old type pipe, and
Sure.
I don't know that it's not undrinkable. That's why I'm just curious, what is it doing to the water?
sure. I don't have that exact answer for you. I don't know if Dante does. Do you have that? But we can have I don't have like the water report with us, other than to say to you, it is the pipes are not good and they're going to have to be replaced in that building based upon the age of it. So, but I will get that for you so that you can have the exact information.
So we're estimating about 2 years. And was that because the water hadn't been tested before, or what?
I can share with you how I became aware of it. I had an employee at some point who shared with me that that was a concern. And so at that time, I went to the individual, in this role and said, hey, this is a problem. We have to have water in those buildings. And so that's when we started to purchase the water at that time. But for it not being corrected, I can't give you a reason for that.
I'll just say, as a board member, not knowing that we have a building where we have employees working and they can't drink the water, that's a huge concern.
Sure.
And there was another issue they brought up, and I can't remember what that was, but
Was it the hot water in the building?
yes, the hot water.
I do not know the answer to that one, to be honest with you. I have not noticed that when I've been in there, but we will certainly get more information for you on it.
I'd like to echo, Penny, your concern. So when did you start purchasing water for the building?
I would say at least 2 years ago. I'd have to get you the exact numbers on it, but it was prior to me being in this role and being still in that other instructional role. So it would be at least 2 years.
So you don't know why the board wasn't made aware of the fact that there was no running potable water in a building?
I don't.
Okay, obviously that's a huge problem.
Sure.
So I just want to echo the concern that if there's something that's significant, that the board should be made aware of.
Absolutely.
Along those lines, I've been here since a year ago, December. I was not aware of it until the November meeting when the employee mentioned it. And then after that, we immediately met, and I was kept abreast of the situation that we were providing bottled water, so they had water to drink. But since that time, I know Dr. Whitaker's team's been looking at what we have to do to mitigate that.
Okay. And under new business, my issue is the wait time for pay, because I may be incorrect here, but I believe several years ago, we went to a system or something where we could pay twice a month. And if that's correct, what's happening here? Why are people having to wait almost 2 months to get a paycheck, depending on when they start?
That's something we're looking at too, because as the member of the public said, and I know Dr. Whitaker's team's been working on this too, especially for our lower paid employees, it's a long time to wait to get your pay, especially during the Christmas holidays. If you got paid before the December 20th break, you're not going to get paid again until January 30th or thereabouts. So what I've heard was that we might require additional staffing, and we're looking at that as we move forward with our budget for next year to try to have payment for at least some of our employees that aren't highly paid, to get paid twice a month. So that's a charge we were given to the finance department to come back with us what that would cost, what it would look like, and how quickly we could implement it.
Okay. So, again, I may have it mixed up with someplace else, but did we not change things so that we didn't have that situation in the past?
I'll ask Dr. Whitaker to talk about that because I wasn't here then.
That has not been changed. We've been once a month pay forever. It is something, the payroll department and finance department, and I talk about it all the time. It's something we've talked about with Dr. Bragan. We're actually working on, the issues are this. We use paper time. So we are behind in our technology. We do not have time clock systems. And so what happens is those individuals write their time down on a paper sheet. Then that gets translated into the payment system in Munis, and then we have to process that payroll, bring the bills here for approval, and then get those checks processed. It is an absolute problem. It is something that we are, I know I put forward as a budget request when we worked on the budget was to get time clocks, because that's the fastest way to expedite it. It is all of those people and one by one timesheet entry, and it doesn't automatically go into our computer system. And so it is a gap. I do believe it is a reason that we have some retention issues. My own child worked for us, and she experienced that same concern. Fortunately for her, I can help, but that's not always the case. She would have had to leave and go get a job somewhere else. And so please know, it is at the forefront of conversations in finance and payroll on a daily basis. We continue to push of how we can do it. It does take extra people because extra payroll is all of those processes, doing it all over again. So we are bringing forward to you recommendation for extra staff in the budget and also for time clocks, because that will expedite that process significantly. Those man hours, every building is doing that one by one. Every department's doing it one by one on paper sheets.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ed, you might want to close your mouth down there. Yeah, I mean, that's the first I knew that we were.
Yeah, could I just make sorry, you don't have to come back up, but have you explored grant opportunities or something? Because I know that there are grant opportunities for technology, something are you exploring options for acquiring it outside of the regular budget cycle? I'm really surprised that you're still using a paper system for your time clocks.
We'll look into that, Dr. Guthrie. I don't know if we've explored grants there too, but I'm very surprised too. And we need to incorporate more technology and be more efficient with that. And, when I came down here, I mentioned that you get paid once a month. Now, I make a pretty good salary, so I'm not complaining, and I can get through month to month, but a lot of our employees can't. And anywhere I came from before here was twice a month. 15th and 30th was a regular, 2-week almost period. So whatever we can do to move that forward, I think it's really important.
Thanks for bringing those up, Penny.
So in the meantime, we need to be looking at some type of way, even though it's whatever system we have that's antiquated, that we're able to figure out how we can bridge that gap until we get a real system in place to make it easier. But that's just ridiculous to have people, when we're begging people to come and work for the wages that we do pay, to have them wait for them. Something needs to happen. Just like water that, okay.
Okay, any other items of new business? Okay. Now we're on to our announcements and information. Are there any announcements?
I just kind of want to make a statement. I don't know if it's an announcement or not, but we've heard a couple times about the renovation at Christiansburg High School being compared to Salem High School. And I just kind of have to go on the record saying that I implore anybody to pull those designs up. They are very, very, very different. Christiansburg High School's renovation is a huge renovation, and it is much more than what I could pull up for Salem High School, and I applaud Salem High School for what they did. It looks great, but they pretty much added a facade and a few classrooms, which is nowhere compared to what Christiansburg High School is doing. So I want to make sure if anybody heard that and has heard it in the past, that is, please go look for yourself. It is not the same thing at all. So, and I'm very proud of what we're doing. The community is very proud of what we're doing. So I had to make that announcement because I've heard it quite a few times and it's not accurate.
So I'd like to announce on January the 27th, Doggone Race will be having their annual winter summit at Christiansburg Middle School. The actual summit will begin at 10, but we are having, and I hate using this term, coffee with cops, so I would say coffee with law enforcement, starting at 9 o'clock. So if you would like to sit down and talk or stand around and talk with our law enforcement officers from around the county, please, it's a great opportunity to come and get to know each other.
Any other comments, announcements, information?
Can I just say something? As a new board member, I know there aren't a lot of members from the community here, but I just want to, in case they're out there watching, just want to say that I'm really honored to have been elected to this position, and I look forward to serving the community the best that I can. It's a big job. I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to do my level best. And so I want to thank you to the community for entrusting me with this position. And also, I just want to say to the MCS employees and the staff that I'm excited to work with you and advocate for you, not only locally, but also at the state, to help make MCPS be the best division that it can possibly be. So thank you for the opportunity. And I also want to thank the board members who've been here for a while for welcoming us, and I look forward to working with you over the years to come. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to extend my thanks to the constituents of District E for electing me to this position, and also just put out there that all of Montgomery County can reach out to any of us. And I would look forward to hearing from all of you. And I also appreciate all of the support from the board members, new and old, up here over the past month since the elections. And thank you. Old being number of years served on the board, not age.
Well, I guess if new members are saying their piece, thank you for starting this, Ed. I just want to thank the voters of District F for trusting me. This is a huge job. I take it very, very seriously, and I look forward to doing good work, as Mr. Garrettson and I mentioned earlier when we were chatting. So thank you.
So I'll echo the same thing as our new board members. I appreciate the support from District B.
Okay. I'll add one more comment of my own. It was super great to see Mr. Brown here tonight. He was one of my kids' favorite faces to see at Margaret Beeks when they were there. Great a custodian of that building, a great DJ, and all kind of good stuff there. He mentioned to me earlier, and I'll apologize on this. I made some public comments expressing my support for increasing our pay for our custodians, but I improperly used the term janitor. I do apologize for that, but my sentiment is the same. I do believe we need to do better there, so I'll get my words right. Good to see you, sir. Okay, if we don't have any other announcements, information, we have our upcoming school board meetings are noted in board docs with the current agenda prep information showed there. And so next, a closed business to discuss 2 employee matters. So do I have a motion to enter into closed session as authorized by section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia to discuss 2 employee matters?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? Yes. Mr. Guidry?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Roundtree?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion passes. We are in closed session.
I